Hey gang, Mr. Jenkins here, back with another lesson. Today we're going to do the first part of 8.5, which is adding and subtracting rational expressions. The learning target is that I can add and subtract a rational expression. Just kind of run through the basics here. As we have in the last couple lessons, the first thing we want to do is factor if possible and state any restrictions. Remember, that's anything that makes the denominator equal to 0. Then we want to rewrite the expression with an LCD, lowest common denominator. So just like just like any other addition with any fractions, you can't add or subtract without a common denominator. That's going to be the tough part. And then we add and then combine like terms, and then factor again if necessary. Okay, so to start, we're going to start with just a basic problem where we add two fractions, a half plus a third. And so to get our common denominators, basically what we want to do is multiply that one by 3 and that one by 2, and then we'll have the common denominator of 6. So we're going to have 1 times 3 over 2 times 3 plus 1 times 2 over 3 times 2, which is 3/6 plus 2/6. And then, of course, that's equal to 5/6. Okay, so that's basically what we're doing, except ours are just a little bit more complicated. I'm going to skip over A since it's already got a common denominator. You would just go ahead and add those to get 5 over 5x and then reduce from there, which you'll see on the filled out notes. So jumping ahead to B, we do not have a common denominator there. So what do we need to do to make that happen? We need to multiply this fraction by 7y over 7y and this one by 5x over 5x. So we have 3 times 7y over 5x times 7y, or just 5x 7y, and then 6 times 5x over 5x 7y. Simplify that out a little bit. That's 21y over 5x 7y plus 30x over 5x 7y. And now that we have our common denominator, we're ready to go ahead and just add. And remember, we are adding here, not multiplying. So those aren't like terms up top. So we just write 21y plus 30x over 5x 7y. Sorry, we can actually simplify that. So we would multiply the 5 and the 7. Let me just rewrite that. Sorry, that's 21y plus 30x over 35xy is how we would express that in simplest terms. And then just think, could we simplify it any other way? Well, we could factor out a 3 from those, but that doesn't really help us. So we'll just leave as is. And our restrictions are x can't equal 0 and y can't equal 0. So that's that one. Go a little bit quicker on the next one, maybe. So on this, we would kind of similar deal here. So on this one, we want to multiply this side by y squared. So that will become a y cubed, and then also by 5. So 5y squared on this side. So 5 times 5y squared. And that would give me, 2x squared y times 5y squared. And then on the other side, we're going to multiply by, we need to do 2 to make that a 10, and x to make that an x squared, and we already have our y cubed. So just 2x squared on this side. So 5x cubed, 5xy cubed, sorry, times 2x squared. Start to simplify this. We have 25y squared. Take away 4x squared over 10x squared y cubed. So I did it wrong over here. I should have just multiplied by x, not x squared. Sorry about the confusion there. So anyways, I think all that is correct. So there's nothing we can really simplify at this point since these aren't like terms. Well, actually, yeah, there is. So we would want to make sure that's in simplest terms here. I believe it is. So we would just want to have. So no, all right, I did do that wrong. So since we just multiplied by 2x on this side, then that's just going to give me 4x on top instead of 4x squared. So that was my mistake. So just to write that out one more time, we have 25y squared minus 4x over 10x squared y cubed. And then you don't want to do your exponent rules here because remember this 25y squared minus 4x is a single factor. And then I want to just go ahead and state our restrictions. X can't be 0, y can't be 0. All right, and then moving on to D. Okay, it's really important on one like D that you go ahead and factor first. Recognize this is the difference of squares. So I'm going to just rewrite this, not changing anything, as 8 over x plus 3 times x minus 3. Because if we don't do that, then we're going to get a way bigger fraction than we need over x plus 3. So now we see all we really need to do is multiply this side by x minus 3 over x minus 3. They were pretty close as is. So first one stays because it's got our whole common denominator. And then the second one, we're going to do 3 times x minus 3 over x plus 3 times x minus 3. And so what we have then is 8 plus 3x minus 9, just distributed there, over x plus 3 times x minus 3. And then just simplify by combining like terms. Sorry, that would be 3x minus 1 over x plus 3 times x minus 3, or you could just express that as x squared minus 9, either way. And our restrictions are x can't be negative 3, x can't be positive 3. I'm just going to write x cannot be equal to plus or minus 3. So just a couple more examples on the back. I'm going to skip E and G, but remember those are already filled out for you on the filled out notes. So first step here will be, let's go ahead and factor out both denominators so we can see if we do have any common factors right off the bat. So first one we're going to rewrite as 3 over x plus 5 times x minus 5, because that's a difference of squares, minus 4 over, so now what multiplies to 5 adds to 6, that'd be 5 and 1, so x plus 5 times x plus 1. And so now we can see that we have that common factor already of x plus 5. So all we're missing on this one is the x plus 1. So our lowest common denominator is x plus 5 times x minus 5 times x plus 1. So on this side, we're just doing 3 times x plus 1 over x plus 5, x minus 5, x plus 1, minus 4. What are we missing on this side? We're just missing the x minus 5. And then we have our common denominator, x plus 5, x minus 5, x plus 1. So now just distribute on both sides, and then we'll combine like terms and see what we have. So that's going to be 3x plus 3 minus 4x minus 20 over x plus 5, x minus 5, x plus 1. And so remember, when we subtract here, we're distributing that negative. So 3x minus 4x is negative x. And 3 minus negative 20, or 3 plus 20, is plus 23. So if MathXL would not accept that, it's because they want that lead term to be positive. So I would say maybe to be safer, we could express that as the opposite of x minus 23 over that big long denominator, x plus 5 times x minus 5 times x plus 1. And then our restrictions are, sure that's still on my screen, x can't be plus or minus 5, and x can't be negative 1. So plus or minus 5 or positive 1. Like I say, that answer might work, but if not, they're wanting you to factor out that negative sign, or negative 1. All right, and then the last one I'm going to show for this is example H. So again, start with that same step, factor out our denominators. So rewrite this as y over 4 times the quantity y plus 4 over 1, or sorry, minus 1 over y times the quantity y plus 2. So I made a mistake there. So when we factor a 4 out of this, 8 divided by 4 should be 2 and not 4. So I'm going to change that 4 to a 2. And, you know, if you don't get some kind of match here, you probably made a mistake. Not necessarily true, but that's how I caught that one. So anyways, what's our common denominator? Well, we already have the y plus 2, so it's going to be 4 times y plus 2. So on this side, all we are missing is the y. So multiply on the left by y over y. So that would give me y times y over 4y times y plus 2. Take away 1 times, what are we missing over here? We're missing the 4. So 1 times 4 over 4y times the quantity y plus 2. And so as we start to simplify, that gives me y squared minus 1 times 4 is just 4 over 4y times the quantity y plus 2, or 4y squared plus 8y. But you got to be careful here because this is a little bit of a tricky one. Sorry, it was off the screen a little bit. Recognize that as a difference of squares. So we're not quite done yet. So we'll go ahead and factor that out. A plus b times a minus b, or in this case, y plus 2 times y minus 2. And you see we have that common factor there, so that's why this one would have been incorrect, because it wasn't fully simplified. So the fully simplified answer would be the quantity y minus 2 over 4y. That's correct. And then we go back here for our restrictions. If we plug in 0 right there, we get 0 on the bottom. If we plug in -2, we get 0 on the bottom, so x can't be 0 or -2. All right, so that'll conclude the video. All the other examples are worked out on your notes, and like I said, this will be kind of a 2-part lesson. So if you can finish the whole homework based on this and the guidance sheet that you get from MathXL, that's fine. You'll be ahead of the game. But if you get to those complex fractions on the homework and you don't know what you're doing, that'll be on the next video. So just do what you can, and I'll be in touch. See you guys later.